Did Nintendo invent the D-pad? Yes, but there were others. Nintendo's cross-shaped directional pad design was developed by Ichiro Shirai, and a patent was filed in 1985. Game Boy creator, legendary game designer, and toy maker Gunpei Yokoi first used the D-pad design a few years before, on the 1982 handheld version of Donkey Kong on Game & Watch. In 1983, the D-pad was introduced again on the control pads of their new home console, the Nintendo Famicom in Japan, and later the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1985. Though Nintendo made the D-pad the standard for controlling games at the time, they weren't the first one with the idea of a directional pad. With most successful tech, there were always some kind of iterations that came before it that weren't quite as successful. Let's take a look at some directional pad designs that came before Nintendo's Game & Watch.
Great idea!
Before D-pads, there were a few games that used 4 separate buttons for direction, much like the Nintendo Switch Joy-Cons do. All the way back in 1976, in the arcade there was Gremlins Blockade, one of the first Snake-type games ever. No, not that Snake. In 1977, with the disco vibes, there was also Gremlins arcade game Hustle, that also used this configuration. In 1979, Milton Bradley's handheld Microvision had a game Cosmic Hunter, which utilized the 4-button directions. And in the same year, there was Videomaster's Star Chess game that featured directional buttons on the console. The unreleased Atari Game Brain console was also going to use the 4-button directional layout. In 1981, the first cartridge-based handheld system used the 4-button directional layout as well. The closest looking to Nintendo's D-pad design was Tiger Electronics' directional pad called the Playmaker, patented by William F. Palasek in 1979. Primarily used for handheld sports games like Deluxe Football with instant replay, hockey and basketball. The Playmaker was also used for games like Karate King. Also in 1979, Mattel's Intellivision console featured a 16-directional disc. Though the disc wasn't exactly like a D-pad, Mattel Electronics released Subchase in 1978 and Basketball in 1979 with what looks more like a D-pad. Nintendo's D-pad patent expired in 2005. The legacy of the D-pad can still be seen today.